You're we're on. Okie dokie. So let me come to my Zoom meetings. What happened? Oh, there you are. Sorry, I momentarily lost you all. So we're back. Okay, welcome to the 5D Academy of Higher Consciousness. I'm Zarathustra, broadcasting live from Tulum, Mexico. I've been asked to talk about the topic of the cycle of life and death. And I believe I talked about this last week when I was in Los Angeles in Farsi language. So apparently I didn't speak about it in English. This is a big topic. This is very, very important. I'm glad that this was brought up to my attention to talk about it, because we, the way we've been programmed to look at life and death is kind of like a programming of being brainwashed, and the education about it is, in my opinion, is not done correctly, and we're not educated. Our point of view and the way we look at especially death is, in this particular time and age, and in the few cultures that I've lived in my opinion, there's flaws and holes in it, and it's not being looked at correctly, and it could change and could be viewed differently. And so I'm going to dive into it deeper and explain it to you, why I'm saying what I'm saying, how we can look at it, how we can shift the way we are approaching both life and death. And in this shift, if we're able to do, then it could eliminate a lot of suffering, and it can bring us in a much higher understanding of this cycle. So, and it's interesting because this is in our face all the time. So something's happening all the time, some things that we've been observing it, experiencing it continuously ever since we have lived, yet we keep missing the point and we don't recognize it. And that creates a lot of suffering and sorrow, and it brings a lot of fear. So I'm going to explain this. Now, let's just for a moment go back into this place of there is obviously for all of us who have come to this spiritual world, anybody who has worked with the world of the spirit, excuse me, and anyone who's here, you have realized that underneath, outside of what we're seeing, what we're feeling and touching, is that there's a network, a hidden network of intelligence, which is the fabric of universe. There is a power, a source, which is much, much bigger than me and you, much bigger than the kings and queens and presidents and leaders and prime ministers. There's something much, much bigger than the armies that exist on this planet. There's something much greater that it's always been here. It's here now and it always will be here. Something that governs the universe. So I want you to sit with what I just said for one moment. Something that is much bigger than anything that we can touch, feel, smell, eat, use our senses. Something in the background. Something that is being shared commonly with the entire universe, not just human race or the animal kingdom or vegetable kingdom. I'm speaking about other planets, other civilizations, other dimensions, other beings. Stuff we can see and stuff we cannot see. Now, we look at what is it that we live on this rock. We call it planet Earth. This rock is suspended somewhere, who knows where. We call it space. And it's turning around itself, apparently, based on the information we have given. Okay? I cannot speak of direct experience because I have not been outside of the orbit in the space to see that it's even a round rock and it's turning around itself. But let's say for a moment, we agree on this one, that we live on a planet and this planet is turning around itself and it's not sitting on anything. How in the world is that happening? Something turning around itself in the middle of nowhere, in space. And it's not lost. And this thing, as it's turning around itself, there's a bunch of other planets that they're turning around themselves, and they don't collide with each other, and they are all turning around another planet, we call it the sun. None of them collide with each other perfectly. Then we observe seasons change. Okay, so we had the summer, and the summer is going into fall, and then winter, then spring. And there must be some kind of intelligence here that is coordinating this shift. There's also the day turns to night and night turns to day. How is that happening? Who's coordinating it? And then look at your own body. From the moment you eat something to the moment that you dispose it, millions of different functions happen in your body. There's like a chemical factory in your body. There's organs are working, and you have nothing to do with any of it. and everything is working like a clock. Something is managing. There is an intelligence here, far beyond of our understanding, far beyond my understanding. There's an intelligence, and it's been here. And where were you 100 years ago when this intelligence was operating? Where were you 200 years ago? And where are you going to be 100 years from now on? There's something that we don't really understand it. It's very, very big. But it's in you and I, it's in everything. Something that works like a clock, something that is operating perfectly. Because to us, we think existence, life, maybe it's screwed up and make mistakes. If there's disasters, if there's catastrophes, there's earthquakes or hurricanes or things happen, tsunami comes or whatever, and we think like existence doesn't know what it's doing. But this thing is intelligent, supreme. And this thing is feeding every person, taking care of everything. Everything gets fed. Millions, trillions of trees and vegetation and grass and seeds and everything. They're all being fed. They're all being taken care of. What is it taking care of it? What is it that runs through this? Is operating it? Yes, they're animals. They're eating each other. Humans eating animals. We eat grass. We eat different kind of vegetables. Everything eats everything. So, but everything gets fed. Everything gets recycled. There's a constant recycling system is happening all the time. From the time you were born to the time you die. Something is at work here. And if you go to the nature, and if you're a farmer, and anyone who, a lot of us grew up in the cities, so we have lost our connection with the nature, and we're kind of lost and not understanding the cycle of life and death. And this cycle in the world of dimensions, in third dimension, where it's objects, a world of objects we're in, the cycle is necessary because it's continuously giving life, and something's born, and then something dies. It appears, at least in that way, that things are being born and things are dying. It looks like it. And if you look at yourself or a human body and people around you, there is, you're born, and there's growth in it. And if you have a normal life, no accident happens in between. So as you're growing and you're starting to flourish, excuse me. I know what, okay, my air conditioning. So we celebrate newborn human children when our kids are born. But then why don't we celebrate when members of our family are dying or die? Why our point of view to death is dark? Why are we afraid of dying? How many people do you know that they have died and they buried them, and then they came back after 6 months or a year out of the grave and tell you what happened? I think death must be really a good thing, because nobody comes back and complains. There's no return. There's no customers coming back and complaining about dying and wanting to come back, it seems like anyone who dies is satisfied with the other side or wherever they go, because there are no complaints after that. So why are we looking at something we don't understand so negatively and in a dark way? It comes to the fact that we don't understand it because we are so identified with our existence to this body, to our thoughts, and to our emotions. And we're identifying that when this body dies, something horrible is going to happen. And my existence stops. This is the idea that's been planted in your mind from childhood. Most of it by religion, most of it by ignorance, and also on the fact that nobody really knows. So we're afraid. There's this fear of the unknown, fear of whatever. A new idea comes, a new entity, a new species, it's a new virus, a new phenomena of some sort of life. We always want to kill it. We want to destroy it when we don't understand it. And this is also death we don't understand. So how about for one moment we shift the way we look at stuff? So everything in this business, the business of spirituality, okay, in this walk of spirituality, of this search that we're on, that we're all here, we all put our time and sit here and listen. We read books about spirituality. We go to see teachers, seminars, workshops, going to ashrams, spending time with the wise men and women because we're looking for answers. And what is it we're looking for? Why are you here? Why are you here sitting? Which you can do 1,000 different things, and you're listening to me. Why? Why are you here? Because you're looking for something. Something feels right. Something pulls you here. Something pulls all of us here together because we have questions and we want something. What we want is we want to be happy. We're looking for peace, inner peace. We're looking for a way that we're not being tortured by our mind, because this mind has been your slave master and it's been torturing you all of your life. And then your emotions go up and down based on objects. You hear news, bad news, and then you're afraid. There's a new disease comes, a brand new COVID is coming, and it's going to kill the entire human race. And then all of a sudden you're at fear, so you're down. And then news comes, something good is coming, and then you're up. So we're looking for happiness. We're looking for inner peace. We're looking for some answers. And also, we want to know what's going to happen to me after I die. But before we answer that question, where were you before you were born? Do you remember that? How did you come to here, to this place? How come you're not worried about that? You don't put much energy into it. You don't cry about it and beat yourself up. How come you don't think about every day, where were you before you were born? But you do think about, am I going to die? Am I going to get old? What's going to happen to me when I'm old and I'm about to die? You think about that a lot more than hardly ever, where was I before I was born? You don't give it any thoughts. It's not important. But this other one is very important. Or if something happened to my beloved wife, husband, my kids, my parents, if they die, my best friend, the fear comes. The fear of the unknown. And it goes back to where? What's going to happen to me if I lose my beloved wife, for example, or my children? What's going to happen to me? How do I handle it? So it's more about me than anything else. How am I going to continue life? So every day and ever since you were born, you have witnessed people you love, they die. People around you, they die. Either from old age and disease or from accidents. So, everything about transformation and elevating your consciousness and your awakening and entering into the fifth dimensional consciousness and awareness is all based on one thing. Everything in your spiritual evolvement is based on one thing. If anybody can tell me what that one thing is. And everything can change in a split of a second based on this one thing that I'm about to share with you. But before I say it, I want you to think about it for a moment. Everything in your spiritual evolvement into your consciousness is based on one thing.
Do you mean God's will?
That's one way of looking at it. It's based on your perception. It's how you look at something. And the subject of death, life and death, which we're continuously seeing, again, as I said, if you do any kind of farming, if you have a vegetable garden or any kind of connection with the nature, and you spend time in the nature, and you can see that things are continuously are being born and then they expire. The leaves on the trees, in spring they all come out, everything gets green, everything becomes vibrant, all the birds and animals and worms and everything is everyone's human beings, everybody's excited because there's new life. And then at this time of the year, the leaf starts to turn yellow and red and they fall and they die. And everything becomes dormant and goes back in, and then it comes out. So what's the difference between that and our lives? What is it? We're more special than the trees or leaves. And we cannot accept this process of this is a recycle, this is a continuum of life and death, and we are a part of it in our physical bodies of appearing to be and then disappearing, or what part of it is difficult for us to accept? Why we can't come to terms with that? Why we have this fear of death? What makes you think after you die it's going to be bad? Because of what's been planted in our mind is basically death, hell, you go to hell, you go to heaven, the concepts that were given to us. You're going to go to nothingness and darkness, and you're no more. Scary stuff. Instead of changing your perspective, if you simply, as I mentioned, everything is based on how you look at it. So if for one moment you take your glasses off and you put your brand new glasses and you look at death as a celebration, you have graduated your college or your level, your school. You graduated your elementary school or your high school or your college. And now you graduated to the next level. And you're looking at it from that point of view, that death is the end of one cycle for you and the beginning of a new cycle. And you don't know what's next. But do you know what's next right now in this life? What's going to happen to you in the next 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, or tomorrow? You don't know about that. How come you don't worry about it? You don't worry about tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and what's going to happen. You don't think about it very much. But you do think about death, and you're trying to avoid it. And you think death means getting old. Well, let me tell you something, my dear. You're already too old. Because from the moment you were born, if you're one day old, you're already old. If you're a week old, you're already 1 week old. If you're 5 years old, you're already 5 years old. You're already old. Because from the moment you're born, there's a shadow behind you. Just one moment, please. From the moment that you were born, whether you like it or not, there is a shadow behind you. And that's a death. It's following you. And from the moment you're born, you're already on a time machine. Your time is clicking. Every moment that you're living, you're getting closer to your expiration. From the time you were born, your clock is ticking into expiration. We don't know how long that is. That's based on your destiny, whether you're supposed to live 5 years, 20 years, 100 years. Your clock is ticking, and you're getting closer to your expiration. What part of this is difficult for you to accept? That just by simply being born, you are on a time machine to die. So if you don't want to die, you should not ever be born. You should stay in the eternal state. Because if you come to the world of the objects, which is third dimension, you are subject to be terminated. No matter what you do, there's no way out. So the only way to escape death is not to be born. So that's one understanding. The other part is shift the way you look at it, celebrate it. We don't have it in our culture, especially where I come from. Death is such a dramatic thing. And people are supposed to be crying and beating themselves up. And it's so dramatic, so dramatic. What if we change that? What if we create a new system that death is to be celebrated? That forget about the people who have sudden death and they're in car accidents or suddenly something happens or they get murdered or whatever. Let's put that aside, okay? Because that's not the majority of human beings. But let's go to our elders, people we love, and they're getting old. How about we say, okay, for me, I only want to live for as long as I'm able. I'm not interested in continuing staying in this body if I am not able anymore. I'm talking about my personal view. I'm not asking you to agree with me or disagree with me or anything. I'm just explaining it to you. And what I would like to do is, let's say I'm 80 years old, I'm 90 years old, and my body is not functioning well. I don't want to be on 100 different kind of medications. I don't want to have tubes going into my different holes in my body. I don't want to be going to the surgery room. What I want to do is I want to say, I am going to leave my body in 1 month, sending a message to all of my friends, come to my home, come and celebrate my exit. Just be with me. Let's hug each other. Let's kiss each other. Let's give gifts to each other. Let's talk about all of the good times we had together and sit around me, be with me, hold my hand and love me. Dress nicely, be beautiful. Let's dance. Let's have some drinks. Let's just have fun. And however I'm going to die, you can call it I'm committing suicide, but I don't even call it that. But let's say I take like 50 pills or whatever that is definitely going to kill the body, while I am in joy with all the people I love around me, and I leave my body in that way. Versus millions of people who are trying to squeeze every last moment of life, and they're miserable and they're sick and they're lonely and they're in hospitals by themselves, or they die alone in their apartment or home with no kids, no family around them. They're so sick and old, nobody wants to be around them anymore. Your kids are wishing you to die, either to inherit your money or to get rid of you, because now you're a pain in the ass and you're sick and old and needy and dependent, and it's ugly because nobody likes needy people. Nobody wants a needy grandmother or mother or father or friend. neediness, needy boyfriend, needy wife. Have you ever dated someone who's needy? It's a turn off when people are needy. They needy energy. Why not go gracefully? Why not celebrating? Wow, I lived 60, 70, 80 years. It was beautiful. And now I want to live this life with the people I love around me. Not that people want to run away from me or secretly thinking, oh my God, when is he going to die? It's the way you look at it. Change the way you look at it. And by changing your perspective, you have shifted your consciousness because your perspective has changed. The higher level of awareness and consciousness, it's not something you add on. Yes, I went to this course and I'm a Reiki master. Now I am Reiki number 5, and now I did this other, and I went to Zarathustra's 5D quantum healing, and here's my certificate, and I am a great healer, and I am blah blah blah, da, 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 all these medals I'm putting on myself, how great I am. Versus shifting the way I look at things. And by that shift, suddenly I have entered into a higher level of consciousness by just looking at something differently, by breaking this conditioning of the mind of, yes, this is a natural cycle that's going to happen. Why not celebrating it? Why, when somebody dies, all of a sudden it's their funeral, and everybody flies from all over the world or the country and to go to someone's funeral? But if 1 year before that same person is having a birthday, nobody wants to fly from another part of the country to go to their birthday. But the moment they die, everybody puts their nicest suits and da 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 da, and they go to their funeral. But we don't do it when they're alive because it's not significant. So if we shift this point of view that when someone is coming to the time to die, or they're there, they're graduating and they're going to the next level, we don't know exactly what's going to happen. And what makes you think after you die, how about all your family, your kin who died before you? How do you know you're not going to reunite with them? Maybe they're waiting there for you. So you go to another party. This party is over. Your body's old. It's not functioning. It's sick. Why do you want to stay in this body? It's not functioning. Is continuously giving you problems. Why not going? How do you know you're not going to go see all of your family, everyone who died before you? They're just maybe waiting for you, and there's a big party for you. You don't know that. You're just afraid that you're going to be lost or you're going into the darkness. And that's what's been programmed in your mind. Or being programmed that, oh yeah, go to this holy war, fight for the holy Christians or holy Muslims, and if you die in this holy war and you're going to go to heaven, that's another fairy tale story. It's just as real as Santa Claus. How many people have gone to war, killed other people, and got killed because they think they're going to go to heaven? These are stories, simply stories. Recognize that. Think for yourself before you completely reject the idea of death. I look forward to my death. I really hope that I don't die through an accident or I don't get shot. I want to be 100% conscious when I'm dying. I want to die in meditation. I want to be in a complete observation state, observing death. So I want to see this transition consciously. It's not like every day I say I want to die, but if death comes to me, I want to know. I'm curious about it. Where is it I'm going to go? Because the few times, some of you know that I've had 5 near death experiences, some of them who are closer to me, you have an idea. Maybe I've never told you everything about it, and I've been kind of waiting. Maybe I put it in a book if ever a book comes out. But one of the times, I cannot explain to you how beautiful it was because I could see that my soul was, I was leaving my body. And the silence I experienced in the room that evening, lying down in the bed in my bedroom in Sedona, and I knew that I'm going to die. I knew it from 3 days before that. I don't want to get into the details of the story, but the last night of it, it's interesting because I called a few friends and I told them to come over. I didn't tell them that, but I could see life force was leaving my body. And I had a closet full of costumes. I still have a lot of costumes, clothing, stuff, beautiful hats, masks, wigs, jackets, vest, stuff like that. And I told my friends, I said, take whatever you want. I want you to take something. And they were on like, what do you mean, Zarathustra? Nothing's gonna happen to you. I said, just take anything you want. Nobody took anything. And they wouldn't want to leave. So finally I had to tell them to get rid of them, to leave. Because I was with the most beautiful lover of my life. I experienced the presence of the most beautiful lover ever, of this silence, of this love that I began to feel, of this light that filled up the room, of this transition. And I was like, holy shit, you are death? Man, I want you. I want to keep making love to me. I want to make love to you every moment because you're so amazing. Take me. I want to be with you. And I was almost certain I was going to leave. And somehow I fell asleep. And I woke up the next day, and there was beautiful sun rays coming into the bedroom. And obviously, when I woke up, I realized that I'm alive. And it was very powerful transformation because I went on a little walk and I started crying and crying. As
Thank you
far
for sharing.
You're welcome. As far as I see, death is one of the most beautiful things can happen to anyone, anything, because it's not the end. It's the end of this broken body or the end of this physical body, and it's the beginning of life. Because life and death, they're in partnership with each other. They continuously shift. How can I die? Where would I go? Where can I possibly go? Which is not in here and now. Is there a place which is not here? And is there a time which is not now?
You know, Zarathustra, I was in the land of love when I was dead. And this land of love was also here. And I could see and feel many things in the same moment. So I could see through the window, through the wall. I could hear what the people thought in the next room. I could hear the thoughts of my mom, and in the same moment, I leave my body, and then I saw the light, and I go through the light, and you know, nearly the same things I felt in the moment of the birth from my son. Both, it was holy, absolutely holy. The finest, the beautifulest, and the holiest thing I've experienced in my life. And so I know that there's only one door, one time from the one side and the next time from the other side. This was my experience.
I was 6 years old. My grandmother had died. I was in the back of the car with my parents driving, and it was raining. And raindrops. I remember I'm looking through the window of the car and raindrops falling on the window. And suddenly I'm just looking at it. We're coming back from the funeral, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I ever die? I am. I've always been here. How can I die? So I asked my parents, and this is like a 6-year-old kid, asking my parents, what happens when somebody dies? And my parents were a little bit like shocked, and they said, when you die, you're no more. And I said, that's not true. Imagine you're 6 years old and you're telling your parents this. And they were a little shocked. And my dad is driving and looked around, looked at me. They didn't say anything. And I didn't have the language or anything to be able to talk about these things. But I just knew, where would I go? I am. The only thing that dies, my dear, is the ego. It's the idea, the thought that I am someone separated from everything else and I'm going to die. Yes, that one will die. As long as you are identified and you believe that you're an object, yes, the object will die like all objects. Or you change your perspective and you put brand new glasses on and you don't view yourself anymore as an object. All of your thoughts are objects because they're traveling. They're always in front of you, come and go. You're hearing them and you're seeing them. These thoughts, they're objects. They're like birds flying in the sky. All of your emotions, they're objects. They all come and go. And your body is an object. And once you recognize that you are not any of these three, then you are free from the cycle of death, life and death. Because you have recognized in this life that you are not an object. You have come to I am, pure presence. The presence who's here without thoughts. You are here. And you've always been here. And you're always going to be here. And nothing can ever touch you. Because you have transcended your way of believing, your consciousness into the fifth dimensional consciousness. The recognition of the truth of who you are. You are not this. You're beyond this. And in that, you become free forever. Freedom from fear. Freedom from your mind. Freedom from your emotions. Complete freedom. Not controlling your mind, not controlling your emotions, not controlling events. Simply becoming free from it. Liberation. That's what happened to Ramana Maharshi. That's what happened to Punjaji Papaji. That happened to all these great masters. That's what happened to this guy. He became free. And look, he's eternally here. Always still and always silent, but very alive. So death is a nothing to be afraid of. Death should be celebrated. So we need, as a culture, to change our point of view of death. And then we're not manipulated, because a lot of our time in our lives, we're manipulated based on death. There's a question here. I'm looking at an Instagram. But how can we deal with the death of someone we love? Yes, it's a good thing for them, but I can't feel them and be with them anymore. Everybody who I dearly love is here. I feel my beloved, close people more than when they were alive. I miss their physical body. I miss the time we had together, the laughs and everything, or the arguments, or whatever, sharing food, dancing, laughing, making fun of each other, or whatever. But I feel the presence of my sister very, very strongly. I feel the presence of my father very strongly. And I feel the presence of my best friend, my teacher, my guru, Ernie, very strongly. Many, many times when I'm driving my motorcycle or I'm swimming in the ocean, I feel the presence of my people who died. I feel them. I can hear their voices. I can smell them. I can feel their presence. They never left. They're here. So, my dear brothers, sisters, change the way you look at things. Give it a try. You have nothing to lose. And see how that works for you. And if you ever feel like it's time for you to go on the other side, we can have a party together. We all can come together. Like when we do a retreat, let us be with each other and celebrate your life.
You know, Zarathustra, where I'm coming from or where I grew up, it was a little bit like you told us now. My grandfather was dying at home, and the neighbors, all they are coming, sitting on the side on his bed, praying, drinking alcohol, laughing, tell stories about the life of my grandfather. And it also was normal to have nice big parties on every birthday. The whole family, the friends, the half village was in the house. And it was powerful. And this was, was heißt das mich beeinflusst? Has influenced me my whole life. And then this own experience go on the other side, coming back, and have the birth with my son. I could feel the circle of have be in the life and in the death, and have fun on birthday and have a good time when the person is going. And I think we must go back to this.
It's nice to see you all. Um, as most of you are aware of, I will be heading to Poland uh, this coming weekend, and I have some events in Warsaw and Krakow. All the information is on my website. And then I go to Bulgaria, Sofia, and then to Frankfurt in Germany. Those of you who are for the first time viewing this live program, my website is Zarathustra.tv. My social media is Zarathustra 5D, and you can contact us at info@zarathustra.tv. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. I have a question for you, Alexandra. Where in Poland do you live?
Warsaw. I will be on the events. I guess 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to meeting you in person. Yeah. Great. Love you all. And look forward to connecting soon. There won't be any academy next week. I try to connect if I can broadcast, even if it's for a few moments here and there. I'll do my best to do. Most probably it will be on Instagram, but officially, the academy, I don't know. Most probably, we will resume when I come back, which is around November 8th, 19th, or 20th. In the meantime, if I can manage to broadcast, I'll do it. Feel free to reach out. Those of you who are viewing this broadcast on Instagram, if you feel like this is of any help to any of your beloved friends, you can share it. I would appreciate uh, I would appreciate it. The energy is so strong. I have a hard time speaking right now. So I love you very much. Stay in your heart and don't give in to fear and the stories. Just stay in your heart and follow your heart and see what your heart speaks. Your heart always speaks the truth. And you're much, much bigger than what you think you are. Your power is enormous, and you have the power of love in you. And don't be afraid of sharing it, and don't let fear to creep in, because you are very majestic. I love you. Namaste. Thank you, my friends, on YouTube as well as Facebook, and I look forward to connecting with you.